One of the greatest benefits of 3D CAD is realized at the assembly level. It is here you can visualize how parts fit together, check for interference and clearance, and simulate complex mechanisms. SolidWorks provides an unrivaled set of tools that allows you to assemble your designs with ease. Components are held together in an assembly with relationships called mates. For example, to assemble this mounting flange to the gearbox, we want to mate the back face of the flange to the gearbox housing. The parts are moved into position and a toolbar pops up with available mate types. SolidWorks chooses the best mate based on the item selected, in this case, a coincident mate. Choosing two cylindrical faces defaults to a concentric mate. Components can be moved but honor previous mating conditions, and additional mates can be applied to lock down the part. Let's assemble some components to the shaft. To save steps, we can use the multi-mate tool to assemble many parts at the same time. We select the shaft, then select the bearing, the spacer, and then the gear. This adds mates to all of the components at once. As we add a mate to align the gear to the key, we are warned that a coincident mate will over-define the assembly, so we will choose a parallel mate. To position the gear along the shaft, we can add a distance mate. A value can be entered and its direction is controlled as well. We can then position the spacer and bearing along the shaft by adding a couple of coincident mates. Next, we want to assemble a spacer and bearing on the other side of the shaft as well. To do this, we will mirror the parts about the center plane of the gear. Let's add two more mates to assemble the shaft and the gearbox. Simple, but it gets even easier. By holding down the Alt key while dragging a component, the part becomes transparent, indicating that we are using Smart Mates. Smart Mates allow us to add mates with a simple drag and drop technique. As we drag the circular edge of the hole in the cover and drop on the hole in the gearbox, it automatically creates a peg and hole mate, which aligns the holes and makes the adjacent faces coincident. No assembly is complete without hardware, so we will leverage the millions of parts that are provided with Toolbox. These parts are set up with predefined smart mates and auto-sizing capabilities, so they automatically size themselves to the hole on which they are dropped and snap into position. The length of the screw can be adjusted on screen to adhere to the available sizes. Adding additional screws to the assembly is as easy as dropping them into other hole locations. Adding parts to the assembly can be done by accessing the File Explorer. With a simple drag and drop, we can place the shaft seal, again using Smart Mates to position it to the cover. To add instances of the cover, screws, and seal to the other side of the gearbox, we will use the Copy with Mates tool. Simply select the components to copy and then choose New References. New mates are added to locate the cover to the gearbox, and the new screws and seal are automatically mated to the new cover. If parts are assembled to a feature that has been patterned, then the feature-driven pattern will leverage this pattern definition to automatically populate all of the holes. Of course, if the number of holes in the pattern changes, then the number of screws will follow accordingly. Often when working with complex assemblies, it is important to dig inside of the assembly. With a press of the Tab key, any component under the cursor will be hidden, or we can use the Isolate command to select components and all others are temporarily hidden. Toolbox is not only useful for hardware items such as screws, washers, and nuts, but contains pins, bushings, keys, gears, pulleys, PEM nuts, snap rings, and bearings. These can be smart mated into position, auto-sized to fit upon placement as well. Upon placing and selecting the correct bearing, we can smart mate it to the snap ring groove. Then we will assemble a snap ring to hold the bearing in place. Finally, we will assemble the shaft cover from the File Explorer and smart mate it into position. In this short demo, we assembled 26 parts using a variety of assembly techniques. Thus, you were able to see how SolidWorks lets you assemble your designs with ease. SolidWorks applications provide great capabilities you can use right away for design, simulation, communication, and file management to work faster and make your products better. Explore all the features in the demo library or contact your nearest SolidWorks reseller.